Everybody, we're going to go live on the radio right now. Well, not live on the radio, but we're going to record for the radio. We're live here on Facebook Live. And for you watching this video at home later, on the YouTube experience. Hey, welcoming in the audience from the radio on Geek Radio America. My name is Mr. AnderSiN, and I am best known as the Indie Devil or Indie Advocate. Depending on how you treat me is what you get. And so remember, the devil can be an angel. I am a devil because I will tempt you with my tales and, of course, bring you information and advocate for people, or at people, I guess, at times for their biased opinions on the fetish culture or other things that I am a champion about, like not bullying, as an advocate, as the indie advocate. And of course, I believe in rising against bullying, and I believe that anyone can be an indie advocate, and I encourage everyone out there to go out and advocate for other people in their creations. We are going to have a great show for you guys today. Got a lot to talk about. We're going to be jumping around a lot today. There's, like I said, a lot of segments to cover. We're going to be doing the news to begin the show today. We will have the forecast, and we will end with the crowdfunding. We might have some guests in the middle of the show. I have sent out the cloud of welcomeness to allow people to come in and join us. The smoke signals are out. We'll see who decides to come hang out with us. And just as a reminder, the nominations are over, and our judging work has begun for the awards in the categories that we're always going to be judged. Stay tuned for information on the date and time for the Independent Creator Award Show. Thank you for being an important part of the process. And that's so important that we need time to make sure the judging is done right. And speaking of that, we're going to have some conversations today and answer some questions. So why don't we get into that? Why don't we start off right away? Because I know some people have been asking about some stuff. You guys just got a spoiler of something that might be on if you caught it quick enough. But if you didn't, don't worry, you're going to see it. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the Stan Lee in the Hall of Fame. Now, first off, I suspended announcing the people who are being inducted to the Hall of Fame for two reasons. One, we're still actually actively trying to induct people with permission that are no longer on the planet, which makes it harder because we don't really know the legality of who we can do. I don't think anyone's ever been sued over giving someone an award, so I don't think we're worried about legal trouble. We're just trying to do it right, but if we can't do it right, there are a few people who we will be inducting into the Indie Comics Hall of Fame who belong there. And the Indie Comics Hall of Fame has definitely caused some controversy. Some indie creators who I feel don't fully understand the magnitude of what a Hall of Fame is, demanded to be put in at the beginning. And we have had, so far, a pretty good list of people who they want to see get put in and arguments about it. One of those arguments led us to the Stan Lee debate. Now, for the record, Stan Lee always was employed in his comic book career until much, much later. I personally think a reason for a yes is because of how much he inspired the field and how much he did help out creators. I definitely understand the no. In this regard, I am a 50-50 deadlock. I couldn't give you an answer. But a lot of people did give an answer, and the overwhelming debate about it for Stan Lee is that Stan Lee will not be going into the Hall of Fame anytime soon for the Indie Comics Hall of Fame. If they finally make a Comics Hall of Fame, he should definitely be a shoo-in to be in the Comics Hall of Fame. But for now, he will not be part of that. And that's not as a punishment. That is not as anything other than a simple truth that he really wasn't indie that much. Not through and through. And that's okay. Not everyone has to be indie. We even talked about what indie is. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what indie is. And I also think it's funny because people have even forgotten the fact, pure and simple, that we used to have this term called small press that we don't even bother using anymore. How crazy is that? Small press used to identify the indie publishers, and it was really the indie creators themselves that were considered to be part of indie comics. But nowadays, anything not Marvel or DC must be indie, right? Well, I disagree. And we'll touch on that because we're doing the Independent Creator Awards, and this kind of goes along with it. To me, personally, and I hope this becomes a thing, first off, I think we need to start recognizing small press, and small press being those smaller companies, and companies is an important word, that are using materials. Now, some of this small press, or most of it, I should say, should fall under an indie umbrella. So how does someone be a small press but still be considered part of indie comics? What a wonderful question. Well, that comes down to the fact, and purely and simply, honestly, that those people, those companies, I should say, those small press, if they're allowing creators to keep their rights to their creations, then by all means do I think that they deserve to actually be part of the indie comic environment and be not only called indie small press, mind you, but be part of conversations with indie like I would say, like right now, I would definitely say like Scout Comics falls under that umbrella. All the smaller ones fall under that umbrella. But if you're a company, even a small press company, that insists on owning the IPs, I think that takes you out of being indie comics and you're now a business. Now, it doesn't mean the creators behind them aren't indie, and I always say this, and I truly believe this. Look, once you're indie, you're always going to be indie. I consider Scott Snyder, despite his fame, one of us in indie comics, because he creates on his own. He created on his own before he was in Marvel, so he is one of us. And he is definitely someone that I appreciate, and I am a fan of myself. So I also think that we need to start identifying some things as indie commercial, where there are people who are getting movie deals and it's helping take them to the next level. A lot of people, and let's be honest, it's hard to do these comic books on your own, and that's the spirit of indie, is a lot of it is on your own. Now, of course, we don't want to say, oh, you're not one of us because you were popular. That'd be the wrong vein. That's why I personally feel that if we could make it so there was this leeway of maybe commercial indie, where people are still indie comics, but they're gaining a little bit of money. They're not exactly all on their own. They got maybe some Hollywood money, maybe they got some backing, some people supporting them, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? We don't want to talk about them being somehow not part of us. That's just rude. So that's not what we want to actually do. We want to invite them into the conversation and have them be part of, or more importantly, continue to be one of us. And that's what's important. Now, what's kind of interesting, and we'll go over it right now, and then we're going to get into more controversy in the next segment, is here it is. So we created 2 new categories, but this is the wave of the future, people. And I'm testing it. Well, I'm going to perfect it, and I think I know how to perfect it, and I'm going to give you a glimpse into 2020's award season. So we put in the best indie comic cosplay, which caused controversy because people started putting pictures up of Ghostbusters, which isn't indie at all, and even a Vampirella character. I'm saying her name wrong, but you guys know her, the vampire with the red. And that's now an owned property. It's not owned by an indie creator, so we disqualified it. So even the idea of indie there gets confusing even in cosplay. But here's the new twist for 2020, and then we're going to take a break, and we'll talk about it when we get on the other side of the break. This is People's Choice with the twist we made for 2020. You can vote as normal, but in the end, only the top 3 moves to be judged, and a wild card picked by the judging panel. What does that mean? Well, we're going to talk about it as soon as we get back. Don't go far, radio program. We're going to be right back. And now, this. All right, guys, we're just going to head right back into segment 2. Here we go. And we're back, and we just left off saying that the new way of actually voting in 2020 will have a twist to it. And that twist is going to be, well, it's going to allow people to have a people's choice. Well, we want people to be involved. We want people. The reason we want so many people involved is because it also widens our horizon. It shows us things that we might not see, especially me. I've only got 5,000 friends basically on Facebook. That's not a big reach when you're talking about any comics. Easily, there's got to be, I would say, probably 10,000 indie creators, at least. I would put it up most in the entire world of maybe even 50,000 indie creators. So we want to be able to reach as many as we can and have as many people acknowledged. Remember, the awards, when I started this, it wasn't about awarding awards. It was about bringing notice and appreciation to the hard work that people put in all year to get to the point where we're talking about them, where we're part of the conversation, where people like Matt Knowles, who actually dresses up as a steampunk guy in Florida all year long to promote his comic book and cosplays one of the characters in his books, needs to be recognized for all the hard work he puts in. That's what we're talking about, people. This is about recognizing hard work. This is about showing love to those who have been passionate and have put their their heart and soul into paper and print and sometimes digital font and graphic imagery brought to you by your tablet reading a PDF. But either way, what's really important here, and I really stress this, is that we're bringing acknowledgement and awareness of different projects. This was never about winning. Listen to me and hear me, anyone who hears this. You win. You are judged every time you go to put your book on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and you win an award every time someone backs you. You are being judged every time you go to a show, set up a table, do a signing, and someone comes up to you and asks for your signature and asks to buy your book. And when they do that and they buy your book and they actually want something you created, you just won an award. So this award, while it does showcase and want to really put a giant spotlight in indie comics, and the awards themselves will give people an ability to say something and actually have an ability to say, I won an award where 50 judges were judging in some of the categories. And we want to expand that so next year everyone can say that. So we're going to be expanding how we do judging. And we're going to talk about judging in just a few minutes, so don't go far. And so basically what we want to do is we want to make it more fair. So in 2020, and this is already the evolved version because this is how we're going to do it, we're going to pick the top 4 categories in most categories. Now, there might be ones that we just let people look through, the judges being, look through everything so they can see all of it. Like when we come to art, we'll try not to limit art. We limited the covers, but next year we might just let anyone pick what we want. We want there to be less restriction over it. However, there will be categories like Book of the Year. There'll be categories like cosplay, where we will whittle it down to what we think are the deserving amount. And even things that we see that, here's a great one, reviewers. That's a bit of a popularity that comes up because, and we've seen this in the contest so far, and it's disturbing that it has come up, and it is just the truth, that ego gets involved in a lot of what happens here. And it's, there's not much we can do about that. People are driven by ego, and what they'll do is they'll go out and they'll want to win these awards just to be able to say they won. So they'll do things like they'll give away free books. They'll give away, someone was giving away an art print. Some people ran a contest and a raffle. And then other people go to their base and demand that they vote and tell them that they have to vote. And they do it daily. And they go, come on. And they get all their friends to share it. We have one thing in this awards show, and I've never seen this. It's absolutely wild. Last time I checked, it had 424 shares. And this is the Comic Book Writer of the Year, 2019. Our top candidate, Frank, has 229 votes, 201 for Garrett Gunn, and 178 for Bradley Golden. All 3 of those guys, top-notch guys. Now, here's where next year will kick in. So we'll come up to this, and we'll notice how many people are in here. There is an option of 15 more people, 15 options in total. So not to take away from anyone on top. And here's the thing. So if we engage this, and this is how I see it happening, next year I'll come over here and I'll have the judges. We'll have 50 judges, maybe more next year. Maybe next year we'll go for 100 judges. And I'll go, okay, Comic Book Writer of the Year. Frank and Garrett have gotten so many votes, they have to advance to the finals. We're going to do 4. So the final 4, that's what we're always going to want to do. Final 4 in these kind of categories where there's just too much. And I think it'd be overwhelming for judges to go at it because we want a decisive victor. So then I would come in with a panel of judges, which are called the panel of judges. Actually, is what I'm calling it right now. Maybe I'll get a better name next year, but it's basically the panel. Oh, I like that. We'll call it the panel. And on that panel, there are 7 judges, and I give them situations such as this, and I would pass it to them, and I would say, whittle this down. Tell me your top 4, 2, 3 of them. Maybe 7 of them. And something like this, maybe I do all 7. And then they all come back to me with their top 4. I look for the crossover of the top 4. And anything that crosses over on the top 4 the most will wind up going. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that Frank and Garrett, they've gotten in because of the popular vote. Now, no one has to worry about voting for Frank or Garrett because they're in. So now we get to look at Bradley Golden. We get to look at Madeline Holly Rising. We get to look at Eric S. Hawkins. We look at a Victor Dandridge. And all the way at the bottom of the list, we get to look at a Go-Ho Franklin, Totem of Zebra Comics, and Brian S. Dawson. Now, both of them look like they've got basically the same amount of votes, right? So I think they've got, oh, I'm sorry, one of them has 2 more than the other. So one has 5 votes, one has 7 votes. It's not a lot of votes, but that doesn't mean they're not great creators. So instead of them being lost to oblivion because they're at the bottom of the list, now we have the opportunity to go, well, who are these creators right here? And maybe one of them is brand new in the year and has just released something that is really super cool. Or maybe they're just someone who doesn't have time to promote themselves. Victor Dandridge Jr. has done no promotion for himself. And being the person running the contest who has to weed everything out, has to weed the comments, who has to constantly be on top of this, I don't always have the ability or the bandwidth to promote every single person that's here. So people like Stephanie Maynard, who deserves an award, is not getting it. Travis Gibb, who deserves an award, might not get it. But now we have the second chance to look at all these creators and forget popularity and just look at the creators. It's not a fan base voting for them. So then we pick our top 2. And for argument's sake, I'll pick Travis because he's got a Kickstarter coming out this month. And I'll pick Madeline. Both have Kickstarters coming out this month. So, drop a little plug there. Madeline has the next. She's going to have a coloring book for the Boston Metaphysical Society. You'll see later on, or hear later on if you're on the radio, and it's the crowdfunding segment. And Travis is about to go live on the 28th with the next edition of the Broke Down Saga. I can't wait. Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to read the book. It's just being done now. And so we have this ability where we'd have those top 4. Now, what happens next? Well, you're going to have to wait if you're in the radio program to the next segment because we have to take a station identification for Geek Radio America and play some commercials. And now, this. All right, guys, we're going to go into segment 3 and wrap up this, and then we're going to restart the video and go from there. And hold on, sorry. Just got a message, and whenever my phone goes off, I have to make sure it's not something about my son. Parents understand, and I'm pretty sure everyone understands that if it's something pertaining to your child, you stop and you answer that. Nothing serious, just something about him actually attending kindergarten next year. We're at that point, so we're figuring that out. So we're going to start up our next segment, and this will end the discussion about the awards, and we'll move on. And this is the part that'll get controversial, I'm sure. All right, so we're back. Here we go. We're going to be talking about the. Hold on, I'm going to restart that segment. Sorry, there was like a vocal tick on it. Let me a quick adjustment. Here we go. And we're back. All right, let's talk about it. So when we left, we said that 2 people would be nominated by the people, and then judges would pick the 2. But now we have 4 people. Who decides the ultimate win? Well, remember, it was the panel that made the decision about the 2 that would advance, and the people picked 2. So now there's the final 4. The final 4 now goes into that pool of, well, this year it's 50 actual judges, and the other one goes to 100. Now, here's the thing I have done. So, people with these things, we've tried to have a lot of integrity with this. We've made mistakes, and we expected to make mistakes. And we were up front at the very beginning that mistakes would be made. And we were very clear that we would make adjustments as necessary. One of those mistakes that we did notice that we made, and this was just a few weeks ago, is the fact that if we ended the People's Choice Awards at the point which we are now, people would know who the winner is, I should say. And that would be it. It would be anticlimactic. You know the word I'm saying. Damn dyslexia, you've got me again. And people would just know, and it wouldn't have gone to the awards show, and it caused some controversy. I was actually accused of trying to delay it. Now, here's my official verdict. People are not going to be happy about this, but here it goes. All of the People's Choice Awards, after talking to my panel, after talking to many judges and even friends, and we've even added an auditor to the actual awards now, where someone will be auditing me, and I won't say who until the show is actually being aired, the award show. Because again, we don't want anyone trying to tamper with the vote. We're being very careful. But after talking to everyone, hearing everyone out, the decision has been on my shoulders to make, and here it is. All voting will remain open until the awards show or the day of the awards show. You might see me close the polls, and it might become very obvious who's won. We will be doing an awards show on Sunday. As of right now, looking at my schedule, and we can quickly do this here. My schedule has me, I'm trying to see on the, I'm guessing right now. This is not in stone. Remember that. This can change. As of right now, I am aiming for February 16th because I believe that's the week after Super Bowl. We talked about doing it on Super Bowl, but we just didn't want to get in the way of everyone. So February 16th after Valentine's Day, that is a Sunday. That is tentative right now for our award show. So everything will remain open until that day. Would see us doing the award show probably at 6 p.m. That is my goal right now. I don't know how we're going to do the award show. That's my next project, as it were. I don't know if we'll have other people show up. I don't know if we'll have the winners show up. Maybe try to line up the winners and let the winners give an actual speech. How cool would that be if the winners were actually telling us what they thought about their wins? So, I don't know. We'll see. We're going to try our best. And you guys we'll talk about what was on the screen. For those who don't see, we're doing some crowdfunding in just a second. I promise we're going to get there. But I wanted to finish what we were talking about. There it goes. I wanted to finish what we're talking about. So all voting stays open until the awards show. We have not officially named the date. I'm letting you guys who are watching this show know my tentative date in my mind, and it looks like we can actually hit that right now. So we have that pool of judges. Now, here's the thing I'm doing with the pool of judges. Not only do I have an auditor, not only are the judges not known by anyone, and the judges don't know even each other. Outside of them actually talking about it, because I have some friends who've decided to talk amongst themselves, and some of them do know that they're judges. I can't stop that. I can, in the future, ask the judges to refrain from talking about who is a judge, but I'm not going to enforce it. I'm not going to make it a rule that no one can talk about what they're doing. That's overbearing. But what we are doing is we're adding a kick. So, a kink. That's me adding a kink, of course. We're going to be doing something to take away anyone saying I've stacked any decks to make people win. So out of the 50 judges, we're going to pick probably over half of them to expand their judging. So to be a judge, you have to judge at least one category. So everyone signed up to do one. We're giving most of the judges the opportunity to judge more than one category. Some of the judges were not offering, so we know they were super busy, and it was hard to just get them to commit to doing one judging category because their schedule is so busy. And they even asked for something that they could do, not quickly, but not have to read an entire series of books, because some people are actually now having to read 5 books to decide the book of the year. So in the categories where it's more about your visual aspect or doing a little research on Facebook, like Rookie of the Year, we didn't ask for books. We asked to see what they did. So a lot of times, hey, surprise, it's your profile. It's going to be your online presence. It's how easy it is to find you that's being judged with you. These are aspects no one thought of, and we're going to explain how we got to that answer when we do the awards. But yeah, we're going to be looking at those things, and I don't think people were aware of what we were doing necessarily, and I wasn't even always aware of what we were doing, because as we went, we made changes. One of the things I do want to remove is purely people's choice. We will keep maybe 3 or 4 categories purely people's choice, but we will be removing the aspect of total people's choice. Because, again, when someone votes for you because you tell them to, when someone votes for you because you offer them something in trade of that vote, it does leave a bit of a stain on the voting process. So we're putting something in that takes away that. Now, getting that people's choice vote gets you into the final 4. It's still important. It's still going to matter. But ultimately, it'll be judged on by peers. And the awards group, again, for the hopefully last time, besides talking about this during the award show. Okay, so the awards, and we're going to talk about the mentorship program and wrap this up. The awards themselves are being judged by cosplayers, being judged by fans, being judged by creators, artists, editors, on-air personalities, and you will see all of the judges. Everyone who casts a vote will be publicly thanked after the awards. We are doing this specifically because we do not want anyone, trying to persuade anyone to vote their way, especially with this wildcard feature. So the wildcard feature allows any judge to judge anything that they want, so long as it is not one of the categories that I've preordained to be a limited group, such as reading the books. I'm not just going to give out the books to all 50 judges. It's just ridiculous. It would take too much time to wait for everyone to get back. We will, however, be open to letting them pick the covers, letting them pick all the categories that don't require necessarily reading. And, of course, the IP of the year will remain a panel decision for the panelists. And the panel itself will also help pick the comic of the decade. They will probably be implementing the rule, and we're going to have them look into it. We're going to see. That'll be next year, of course, not this year. We're going to be open to hearing your changes and what you want. One of the changes we're making is because we don't want to stop the momentum of what we're doing. We want indie to continue to be important and grow. So part of that's going to be with the Independent Creator Awards mentorship program. We have added a mentorship program that will run until 2020 and hopefully beyond, to help other creators learn from the other people. Hopefully we get some of the winners this year to actually sign up to be mentors. How cool would that be? All right, I'm all awarded out. Let's stop talking about awards and go on to other cool subjects. And now this for the radio program. We'll be right back to station identification time. All right, we're going to switch gears. I know some people are probably not happy with that decision. And today it is my decision that I had to make, and I did what was best for everyone. I didn't do what was best for one group. I did what was best for what I felt was everyone. And I'm going to say this, and I've said it the whole time, and I'm going to leave it at this. If adding more time means you can't win, you should have never won a popularity contest, because that's what a popularity contest is when we do a People's Choice Award. It's just the truth. If anything, you've been around longer. You can't motivate your base. Maybe if it's really important to you, you sort of need to take a reality check about, hey, maybe I need to reach out to my base more. Maybe I need to excite them more because they're not showing up. And maybe you need to be more in touch with them. Just a friendly suggestion. I say it with love. I did hear everyone's points, and today more people agreed with my part of it. And the people even didn't agree heard my part as a good reason. No one told me I was flat out wrong. And I will not be bullied or told I should do it because someone's going to be affected by my decision. If all I have done is not enough for anyone, and I have not proven my integrity, I will never prove my integrity to that person. So I'm done trying. I have lived and breathed indie comics for 5 years now. Giving up at my easiest calculation, lowballing it, a month of my life, an entire month of my life will have gone to promoting indie comics that aren't my own. So if that's not enough, nothing will ever be enough. So I'm done trying to please you. What I did was the best I could given the circumstance, and I made the best decision within that circumstance. It is not meant to hurt or harm anyone's chances. It is merely what is best for this. And I'm going to leave it at that, and we're going to move on. And we're going to actually stop recording right now on YouTube. If you want to see what's next, you're going to have to go to the different segment, because this segment was all about the awards.